Okay, good evening YouTube and welcome to episode... You always write this down, this is very good. And I always go into the video not knowing, but you always write it down. Episode 28 of the FPL Family.
That's what wives are for.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and we are going to be reacting to Game Week 18 of the English Premier League and indeed Game Week 18 of the Fantasy Premier League. So let's start as we normally do by looking at our teams for this game week. One of us... Well, it's kind of mixed emotions this game week, isn't it? Because one of our teams in real life did really well, but FPL-wise, one of us did badly. And the other one is the complete opposite. So, go on, how did you do in FPL, first and foremost?
Yeah, all right. So I've got currently sitting on 55.
Which is really good.
Which
it's a really good score.
Yeah, so because obviously Silva didn't play, so Otamendi's going to come on for one. Bit annoyed that I had him as my first sub rather than Loftus-Cheek, but what can you do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to end up with 56 for the game week, which I think will be okay, unless Everton run riot on Monday night. I think
Everton
56 should
Swansea?
No, I'm done on 56. 56 all out.
Okay.
So as long as Everton don't run riot on Monday night, I should be okay. The good news is I got through the second round of the Cup.
Oh, wow.
This is
You never even get through the first round.
It's uncharted territory, this is, so I'm over the moon. If I go out on the third round, I'm happy. Life's fulfilled.
Did you? So the guy that you're playing hasn't got any Everton or Swansea?
No, no. So he's
right,
done
nice.
as well.
So you got through.
I had a bit of, I got a bit lucky, to be honest. My Liverpool player saved me this game week.
Yeah.
Because he'd captained Vardy, and I captained Salah, and it comes down to Salah and Firmino.
Nice. All right, nice. Well, I was 33, I think, which is not very good, to be honest.
But you've got quite a lot to come still.
So, yeah, because Silva didn't play, I think Norton is going to come in, which is, again, annoying because I had Loftus-Cheek as my first sub and then changed it right at the end because I just thought Palace they won't do anything. They're terrible away from home. And then they go and beat, who was it?
Leicester.
Leicester, wasn't it? Went to the King Power and absolutely smashed Leicester. So, yeah, disappointed about that. So, 33. I have got Calvert-Lewin and John Joe Kenny to play, and also, therefore, Norton's going to come off my bench and get me something. So
you're probably going to get at least another 10, 15 points out of that game.
Well, I hope so. But then, 0-0 would be good for my two defenders, but then Calvert-Lewin gets nothing. So, it's a bit kind of like, a bit hit and miss. So, 33, not great. My sub from last week was, it was a real kick in the teeth, that was, for this game week. So, I had Kevin De Bruyne last weekend. As some of you guys will know, I bought him in on a bit of just a gut feel that he was going to do well. And he did actually do quite well last game week. I think he got 10. But Silva got 16 because he got 2 goals. And I just thought, I looked around at all of the opinions on Twitter. I looked at all the stats on like FF Scout. And it was like, De Bruyne was, he did have a very good game. But Silva was getting in these horrendously dangerous positions.
And much cheaper as well in terms of your budget.
And he was cheaper and his heat maps looked amazing. I just thought, longer term, I think I'm going to want Silva over De Bruyne, despite De Bruyne doing well. So that's the sub I did. I did De Bruyne for Silva, which was obviously a terrible shout because De Bruyne's got, a great game week this game week, and Silva, for whatever reason, we don't know, he was dropped for personal reasons. So if things are not well his end, then hopefully we hope things go well for him going forward. But yeah, De Bruyne for Silva was not a good sub for me this game week. That's a good sub.
And I, as you all well know, I denied for quite a while about what to do with my substitutions, and I waited on news about Richarlison and Morata, and it all looked fairly promising about both of them. And then obviously, so I decided to keep my 2 free transfers for next week so that I could deal with my Elliott problem because I want to upgrade it. I wanted to upgrade Elliott to Pickford. Didn't have quite enough money to do that, so it was reliant on another sub. So I kind of thought I'll have a little mini wild card just before Christmas, keep my 2 subs. As it happened, Morata didn't start, come off for a 1 point nonsense.
Yeah. At least he's confirmed back and fit now. Are you going to hang on to him on that basis?
Well, we can talk about that in our next vlog. But I'm umming and ahhing, to be honest, because I'm starting to go back to what I've always felt, that is, I'm better off with 2 strong strikers.
Yeah, okay.
And a cheapie third, and fill my midfield with real quality. So at the moment, I'm kind of thinking, well, why don't I keep Firmino because he's doing me good.
Done the business today, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think Firmino has like 1 or 2 good FPL games a month though. He kind
but
of
for
like
the price
so
of
hit and
him,
miss. Yeah.
He's only 8 or whatever he is now. So I nearly did Rooney, so I'm really, really interested in what happens with Everton tomorrow night. as to what I do there. But obviously, if I do Morata down to somebody like Rooney, I free up a lot of money, which will allow me to replace Morata with Hazard in the middle. So we'll see.
Okay, so you are still thinking about potentially a move for Hazard, even though he's had a couple of blanks and didn't look great in that false nine position.
Well, the other thing is that a move for Hazard could equally be a move for KDB because they're the same sort of price point. So I'm still umming and ahhing, and I kind of feel a little bit more positive going into this game week now with 2 transfers. We'll see what happens with the cup this week. And make some decisions from there.
Okay, all right. So as usual, we're going to do our reaction to game week 18 in this video, and then as you rightly say, there's Carabao Cup games I think on sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, isn't there, next week? So the games are still coming thick and fast. We'll try to do. We can't do it Wednesday, can we? But we'll try and do a Tuesday night. So in the middle of all those games, a kind of preview for game week 19, which starts on Friday, by the way, guys. So Arsenal play Liverpool, I think it is actually on Friday at the Emirates. So don't miss the deadline. It's an early deadline. And then it's Friday and Saturday. Christmas Eve is Sunday. Christmas Day, Monday. And then there's games on Tuesday, Boxing Day,
Yeah,
right?
It starts with Spurs at lunchtime Boxing Day.
Oh, man, it's coming thick and fast. I love it. Cool. All right, so let's get into the game week we've just seen in game week 18. Which game do you want to start with?
Let's just get it out of the way and talk about Man City and Spurs. I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I don't think I have ever watched a team that can lose a player for whatever reason Silva didn't play, who's that important to them, and still play as well as they did against us. We are a decent team. We're in good form lately. And they absolutely made us look like, well...
Yeah, look, City are a really good side. I know you were gutted with the score, but, there's plenty of sides that have gone to the Etihad and will get beat up as much as you did. I mean,
Well, we did
Liverpool
a lot of the beating up.
Right? So, City are a very, very good side. It just shows you their strength and depth, the fact that Silva cannot play, right? From an FPL perspective,
it's really
I don't
think...
think...
FPL, though, I think, from...
Well, it continues to be.
Yeah, because, you're at a stage now where I think... there's a lot of us that have got you and I now both, Silva owners waiting on news as to what that personal issue is.
We do need to hear that, don't we?
Hopefully for Silva and his family that it's nothing too serious.
Are you thinking about an upgrade of Silva to KDB then potentially, or sideways to Sterling? If the news on Silva is that he's out for a bit.
It's all on news. If it comes back that Silva's not going to play over Christmas, then it will be either I'll do a straight swap, sort of straight swap from Silva to Sterling, or I will think about the upgrade. If I change Morata, I'll think about the upgrade to KDB. But I mean, it just continues, doesn't it, with the kind of sharing of points around at City. So a lot of people talking to me in the week. Shall I get off Sané? Shall I get off Sterling? Look at Silva, this, that, and the other. And I said to a lot of people, be careful of sideways transfers within clubs because. Yes, Silva had a brilliant game week last week, but he has the potential for it to be somebody else this week, and he didn't expect what happened to happen, but so how it is. From a Spurs point of view, was nice. I don't think many people are still on Eriksen, but nice to see him getting some points again, even if it cost me my Otamendi clean sheet.
Still happy to be with Kane because there was a lot of people getting off of Kane, right?
Look, I think from now, for the next couple of games, certainly, I'm going to stick with Kane. People can get them off all they like, but for me, I'm going to be sticking for now. Burnley's a tough place to go, but
it's more than a tough place to go. They don't concede at all, Burnley, right now.
So that's a tough place to go in the next game week. But then, we've got a Swansea visit, we've got West Ham. So we've got some nice fixtures coming up now after Burnley next game week. So for me, I'm going to be sticking with Kane. I'm not going to be at any other Spurs players because obviously after that we have a blank game week before our double. But I think in preparation for the double, my plan would be to have Kane and another.
Okay. Well, we'll come to double game week players, I think, in a couple of vlogs' time, right? Yeah. I think there's a few on the radar. Definitely. And when we get to the West Ham game that we've just seen, I really, really want to talk about Lanzini. You called him out as a jammy pick a few weeks ago, and since you called that out, he's done nothing but great things in FPL, including a trio. I think he got 3 assists.
It's the one I've got right this season.
Hey, listen, it was a great shout because actually he's really, really playing well for West Ham right now. So we'll come to him as a double game week asset later on, or maybe in a few vlogs' time.
It does. The other thing, going back to City for a minute. Like you say, go back to the double game week in a bit. But obviously with Jesus missing the penalty, he doesn't seem to be wanting to play Aguero and Jesus together at the moment, does he? They seem to want.
Never mind at the moment. I think he's come out and said, they can't really play together. It's one or the other. So that's why I think they've seen a lot of sales, those two guys, because there's a bit. I was going to say the midfield slots are a bit more assured. Whether you can really use that term loosely, I guess. But Jesus and Aguero are rotation risks.
And I think if you look at the points for the strikers this game week so far, Jesus with -1, Kane's on 1, Morata's on 1, Lacazette, I think he got 1 or 2. The only one that's actually bucking the trend at the moment is Firmino. I suppose Lukaku today did score. So actually the strike force again, not ideal from a fantasy point of view. Okay. All of the big hitters really, it's coming out of that midfield again, isn't it?
So let's go from that City game then over to Man United, because that was again an interesting game today. Yeah. I thought United actually played pretty well. I think they got to about sort of an hour in and thought that actually the game was won. They took their foot off the pedal a little bit, in my opinion. Actually, West Brom come back into it. Fair play to them. And you're talking about where we should be putting our funds up front. And a few weeks ago we were sitting here saying we don't know which of the strikers to have. There's so many options and all the big hitters are doing well. It feels the complete opposite right now.
It does.
It feels like, who do you have? And actually Lukaku now, 2 in 2. People are thinking about where they might spend the Kane money for the next couple of games before getting him back for the double game week. Is Lukaku an option? If you look at his fixtures, Leicester City away, which
we've just seen can...
We've just seen Leicester can get beat at home, and then they're home to Burnley, home to Southampton, away at Everton, which is tricky, but that's in his old kind of stomping ground, right? And then at home to Stoke. So the Man United fixtures look really, really good for the next 5 or 6.
I don't know. I wrote down Lukaku, Pogba for next week because obviously it's the end of Pogba's ban.
You want him back in?
Well, I've never had him yet.
Okay.
But what I think more from my point of view, when I was looking at that potential downgrade of Morata for another striker, or whatever I decide to do, Lukaku looks better with Pogba on the pitch.
United do.
So Lukaku's already looking like a decent option after the last couple of game weeks. I still think he looks really lazy out there. I don't think he looks like he's trying very hard.
I actually thought today he looked a little bit more like he was putting a bit of a shift in. I don't know what it is with him. It's been levelled at him before that he's a bit of a flat track bully. He likes the smaller clubs, the so-called lesser teams. Actually, the bigger teams he doesn't turn up against. Well, if you look at the next 5 fixtures, not that they're all lesser teams, but you've got to think that Burnley and Southampton and Stoke at home, those are the sorts of games where Lukaku could do quite well.
So who have they got next?
Leicester
United.
away. Leicester away.
I don't know. I think Lukaku's certainly up there with an option. And I'm sure when we do our next vlog in the week, he'll be going on my radar. Definitely. But yeah, maybe Lukaku starting to look a bit more promising again, isn't it?
So yes or no on Pogba? Straight in?
No,
7.9?
not straight. No, I'm not going to go straight in.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to go straight in anyway. I guess again it all depends what happens with Silva really, because I'll be looking for a Silva replacement if that's necessary, and I really would like out of Tom Carroll because sure. I've got Loftus-Cheek and I don't know, it's so confusing.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm definitely looking at Pogba for next game week. I think you've got to look at those. Well, I'm in a position now where I need to be making up some points in the ranks ideally, particularly after this game week not going so well. So. Getting on Pogba early could be one way to do that.
Okay.
The way that I might do it is to do Richarlison to Pogba. So let's come to that game next, where I totally was not expecting Watford to get beat at home to Huddersfield 4-1.
That's why you bought in the Watford keeper.
So I bought Gomez in as well as one of my other transfers this game week, thinking Huddersfield hadn't scored away from home all season. Suddenly 4-1. I mean, that's an incredible result. Going to Vicarage Road, which is a tough place to go, although they can be a bit leaky, Watford.
But not
unbelievable
result. A goal usually. So, I know we'll start having the Aaron Moy conversation again after his 2 goals.
Do you think we'll be having that conversation again?
I don't know.
Probably his second decent game all season, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think for me, looking at Watford moving forward, I forget who they've got next up. Brighton away.
Brighton, yeah. Okay.
Now, I look at that game and think. Richarlison away from home looks decent this season, and Brighton don't look that great.
Oh, beatable, yeah.
So I won't be getting off Richarlison just yet. I'm going to keep him certainly at least for that game and see where we go.
What did you make of his performance at the weekend?
He's a really frustrating player to own in your fantasy team, I think. Spend my life hearing about. I listen to him. I watch him on Match of the Day, and it's like, oh, Richarlison, you are the most wasteful man I've ever met.
He does miss a lot of chances, and I wonder whether because I don't know if it's this game week or the previous. I think it was previous where he went off with a bit of an injury, didn't he? And I wonder whether he's 19, he's a young guy, Brazilian. He's come over to the UK. It's winter now. It's flipping cold. He's not used to that. The games are coming thick and fast. Is he maybe suffering from just the pace and the frantic nature of a winter Premier League schedule? It's hard enough for the best players to keep up with it. So I wonder whether, and maybe that's why his form's dipping a little bit. And again, you're right. You look at the fixtures: Brighton away, Leicester at home, Swansea at home. Then there's a game at Man City, but then Southampton at home. So actually, 4 of the next 5 look pretty good. So if I did get rid of him for Pogba, it would be a very reluctant move, I have to say.
My bigger concern with Watford, I'm going to keep Richarlison. My bigger concern is I've got Cabaselli.
Yeah.
And I got him in on the basis that Watford, looking all right, decent games. And then he got absolute chance, got no points this game. But I still don't... I don't know. I think I'm still going to stick with him for a couple more weeks and just see what happens. Okay. If I actually, at the end of the day... I put him in this week instead of Otamendi. I'll be playing Otamendi moving forward most weeks.
Okay. And those Huddersfield strikers, so I think De Poitre and... How do you say the other guy's name? Is it Quanier or Quana? I think they're both very, very cheap in FPL.
Yeah, but the trouble is we're going to have this, aren't we? They probably will go up in value this week because people will start getting on them because they'll see them as being a cheap option that will free up some money to allow KDB or whoever it is that they want to get.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, these players, they have one game week. And let me
just read you their fixtures. So Southampton away, Stoke at home, Burnley at home, Leicester away, West Ham home. According to the ticker here, there is no better team than Huddersfield over the next 5 game weeks. There's goals there for those guys. There must be. And at 4.5 to 5, maybe it's worth a little punt. Like you say, if you're looking to enable a KDB
I think
or a
if you're
Hazard
looking to enable
else.
Something, then fine. I can understand it from an enabling
Particularly
point of
at a time when we're struggling to fill those front 3.
But I just look at them and I think... They've done nothing all season. They've had one good game week against Watford, who were clearly having a poor game week. I just don't...
Okay, watch in brief. Keep an eye on them
if you want. I'm not interested really in that.
All right. So that's a result we didn't expect. Another result we didn't expect was
Leicester and Palace. You going
Palace
there?
To go to Leicester and win 3-0. Absolutely. I mean, we're all talking about Palace's really poor away form. Roy seems to be getting it right with them, but it was slowly. Actually they come back and it's a fantastic performance. And from what I understand, I haven't seen any highlights, but both Zaha and Benteke were very, very good in that game.
Yeah, they were. And actually, it kind of leads you to kind of start questioning what you're doing about Palace, because obviously we've both got Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
Mostly because he's cheap, to be honest, and he plays every week. So it was one of those, like Tom Carroll.
Is he coming off your bench, by the way, or is he stuck on there?
No, annoyingly, he's stuck on there.
He's stuck on my bench as well.
Morata come on for his 1 point cameo.
There's a lot of FPL managers with a 6 Loftus-Cheek stuck on the bench.
Yeah, well, people like Ben Davis staying on with a 1 point cameo.
I've played Loftus-Cheek for the last 4 or 5 weeks because I've had to. And the week I don't play him, he gets an assist. Especially an assist in the 92nd minute or something, wasn't it?
I mean, Benteke is one I think I am interested in keeping an eye on. These Huddersfield players you were just talking about, not so much. But Benteke at Palace, I think there's some decent...
Benteke's 3 million more than those Huddersfield players.
I know, but you look at Benteke, Zaha, Loftus-Cheek. When they get going together, they're a real unit, and they look much better under Hodgson than they have the rest of the season.
I think we definitely need to keep an eye on it, because when they get going together, they're good, but we haven't seen that yet, in my opinion.
Well,
if you look at the beginning, one game,
we saw it in one game, yeah.
But at the beginning of the season, Benteke was completely off it. He just looked not good.
Yeah, totally.
And Zaha was finding his feet, and Loftus-Cheek was settling into the club, and they didn't have a good start to the season.
I agree.
Roy's come in, and he came in at a time when Benteke was injured, so now he's got Benteke there.
Yeah.
How much of a difference is that going to make? Yes, on the basis of the weekend, looks like it's going to make a lot of difference. Let's have a look at the Palace fixtures going forward. Swansea away, which potentially is not a bad game. Arsenal and City at home. and then Southampton away, and then I think it looks like Burnley. So
I just think
Arsenal and City as 2 of the next 3. You're probably not going to invest in Benteke in that, are you?
No, you're not. But the likes of Benteke and Zaha have got to be. They've got to be in the periphery of your thinking. I think.
Certainly, Benteke has. Yeah, Zaha. I think he always is, because he's that sort of player. He's an FPL sort of player, isn't he? But I'm kind of happy to be on Loftus-Cheek, given that he's that much cheaper. But and Leicester, I think we called out Mahrez as potentially going to have a good game.
Yeah, a lot of people captained him, didn't they?
Yeah, a few FPL managers actually sticking the armband on him and going, why not? Given that Palace's away form is so bad, but. Yeah, not a good game week for Leicester.
No, absolutely. I think Mahrez, the likes of Mahrez and Maguire, those players, they're still people out that I would want to keep my eye on moving forward. They're still potential options for my team. The player at Leicester that I think I'd be getting off in droves if I had him is Vardy. Weeks now,
yeah, it
nothing.
Seems to be off it, doesn't
Absolutely nothing for weeks. Even when I know Leicester had a bad game this week, but in previous weeks when they've been playing well, he's still got nothing from a fantasy point of view. And yes, all right, he might be working really hard and he might be playing the assists of the assists. But from a fantasy
He'll get the odd goal, won't he? But
will.
You want more for your money, I think. You can have Firmino.
You can have Firmino. Money, you can have Rooney. You can
or you need a Benteke.
Or you can have Benteke. Yeah. You can have players that do seem to be getting the glory for their teams.
Or indeed a De Poitre, who you clearly have endorsed on this film.
Yeah, I'm clearly endorsing all Huddersfield players. Go out there and buy Huddersfield.
And Leicester fixtures, 3 of the next 5 include United, Liverpool and Chelsea.
I just think if you've got Vardy, I wouldn't be... No, okay. I'd be shipping out.
Let's move on.
Should we talk about Liverpool?
Yeah, go on then. That was good, wasn't it? That was good. I was very pleased with that performance. Again, points coming from all over the place, right? Good to keep a clean sheet. So there's a few Clavans out there, would you believe? What about Lovren? I mean, he actually put his head in and got the goal where he could have had a smack in the face. Yeah, so I think 13 points for Lovren, right? So we'll take that.
Getting some bonus points. Getting 1 bonus point.
Yes, indeed. And again, Firmino looked very, very good. We managed to rest Mane, which was great. Lallana's coming back, which is good. Danny Ings got some game time.
Coutinho obviously looking magic again.
Coutinho, the little magician, is just looking unbelievable. So I think, we're back onto this conversation about do you go Liverpool double up. We look at the last 2 game weeks, and actually the Everton game could and maybe should have been more goals for us. And then the West Brom game, it was a weird game. It was just we were really off it and just couldn't find a breakthrough or create very much at all.
I actually really fancy Liverpool against Arsenal on Friday night. I really
do. You?
Yeah.
Do you? Well, Arsenal aren't exactly playing badly.
No, but we can talk about Arsenal next. Talk about Arsenal in a minute. We talk about their game. But I watched you today and I thought you looked really strong. And Bournemouth, I know that they're not great at the moment, but every time you had the ball, it looked like you were going to score a goal. They know where each other are. They're playing really nicely together. They seem like a really settled unit at Liverpool.
But playing Bournemouth is a great game for that for us, because Bournemouth are the sort of side that like to come and play a bit. Yeah. They don't like to just sit back. Whereas West Brom are very happy to just sit there and maybe counter-attack. Bournemouth come out today, tried to play a bit of football, and as we know, against the likes of us and City, you will get beat if you do that. That's why Friday night is really interesting, because Arsenal, clearly at home will want to come and play. And that's why Arsenal-Liverpool games in the last however many years have always been 4-4, 4-3, whatever. So get your money on some goals, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be investing. I know Lovren's had a really good game week, but I wouldn't be investing in Liverpool defence at the moment.
Wouldn't be going crazy there.
But I certainly think, I'm on the Liverpool double anyway. Slightly different double, because obviously I've got Firmino and Salah. And that won't be changing anytime soon.
No, I think you're right to stick on Firmino after the Arsenal game. And by the way, I think Firmino in the Arsenal game isn't a bad pick at all. Actually, a very good pick. But then we've got Swansea at home, Leicester at home, Burnley away, and then Man City at home. So, as well as the Arsenal game, which I don't think is a bad game for us, the next 3 look all right. So, Liverpool investment over Christmas is maybe not a bad shout.
Okay, great. Let's move to Arsenal then, because your top points pick, he came in with a goal for you.
Yeah, so I put a tweet out there saying, when we did our last vlog, I just had a Christmas lunch, hadn't I, with work, had a couple of glasses of wine, and I was feeling a bit knackered when we did the vlog. And I just sort of randomly went Ozil. I just had a feel for that Ozil was going to do well. And actually, he took his goal fantastically, didn't he, the weekend? I don't know if you noticed, but he's one of those players that on his day, I do like watching him. When he's got an off day, I hate watching him. But on a good day, he's really good. I mean, the way that ball was coming out of the air, all the defenders, if you've seen the replay, they're all looking at the ball. Whereas he is getting his body in the right position to do the volley. Fantastic. Great stuff. So the Arsenal game was a bit of a funny one. Again, I've not seen any highlights.
But for me, with how bad Newcastle are at the moment,
Yeah.
Arsenal should have won that game by more than one goal.
Yeah, maybe. But what was the highlights like? Have you seen the lot chances created or anything like that? I mean, I don't really see it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just feel like Arsenal are sort of, they seem to be teetering at the moment. They're ticking over the points from a league point of view. I think from a fantasy point of view, however, with the exception of Ozil, who we've mentioned a lot over the last few weeks, I don't see anybody that I particularly fancy investing in.
What do you think of Sanchez? What is going on with this guy?
I think he's off. I think he's off.
The last couple of seasons, he was a must-have, wasn't he?
No, I think he's off in January. I really do. I think he's not
going to
settled.
City?
I think he'll leave in January. And I tell you what, if he's a City defender come the end of January when the deadline closes,
a City player,
then I want him on my fantasy team, because that man at City.
How does he fit in that City side right now? That City side is so slick.
God knows, but he's just not on it at the moment because I just don't think he wants to be there.
He really drifts in and out of games, in my opinion.
So for me,
even more so than Ozil right now.
Like, and even the Arsenal back line at the moment, you can't. They're getting right. Kolasinac hasn't played for a couple of games.
Dropped again,
now.
yeah. And actually, the young lad he's actually a midfielder, isn't he? Maitland-Niles in the game in FPL.
Right.
He's a 4.5 midfielder. He's played the last two now for Arsenal. They've kept clean sheets in both. So I wonder if Wenger actually likes him at wing back rather than Kolasinac on that side.
All I know is
he's building a case for himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there with Koscielny in their teams. Now, I don't think that's necessarily a bad pick, although I certainly wouldn't be getting him in. I wouldn't be getting an Arsenal defender before Liverpool go there. Are you going there, or are they coming to you?
It's at the Emirates on Friday. Yeah.
Right, so I can't see Arsenal keeping a clean sheet against you lot. I really can't with where you play going forward. But I can also see Arsenal scoring goals against you.
I guess so.
If they can get going. Now, this is exactly the same as the North London derby when we said the likes of Ozil and Sanchez and Lacazette, they'll turn up for it because it's a big game against Liverpool on a Friday night. They'll show up. The statistics, I've reeled them off once before about Arsenal on a Friday night. They score goals on a Friday night. So
yeah, I mean, I'd be really interesting to see if he sticks with Maitland-Niles again in that game, because what side is he? Yeah, he's a young player. What side is he? Is he on the right or the left? I think he's on the right, isn't he? Can't think so. But say whichever side he's on, he's up against either Mane or Salah, isn't he? Probably.
Yeah.
And I don't know, either one of those you don't want to be coming up against, really. So
No.
it'd be a real test for him if he continues to play there.
Okay.
And obviously Wenger might bring Kolasinac back, but let's see. Arsenal, you're right. Don't look as if they are bang on form, but they keep winning games, back-to-back clean sheets, so you can't argue with that one.
And Ozil, potentially, I think he's the only one in terms of Arsenal's attacking prowess that I would be thinking about from a fantasy point of view right now.
Lacazette off it again.
I don't
Not seen
know.
anything from him in a minute.
Let's see what happens on Friday night. But I'd bet on Liverpool, to be honest. I think.
Next
All right, let's move on. Chelsea. Let's go to Chelsea. So
you were very happy with the Alonso goal, right? Alonso and clean sheet.
I was really happy with Alonso. 3 bonus points, clean sheet, and a goal. Lovely. Thank you very much. So that's
devastated I was when that happened.
I think you got me 14. So
I haven't even got a Christensen to cover the clean sheet. Devastated.
So I'm happy with Alonso. I did say in our last vlog that boy owes me a clean sheet, and he gave me a clean sheet and a goal, so I can't moan at him now.
The only thing I will say, I was very, very happy with the jammiest of Hazard assists to come out of that, because he obviously was fouled for the free kick. So
I don't know.
Yeah, very jammy Hazard. Captain Hazard this game week. So to get an assist was good.
I was very frustrated about the Morata not starting in that game.
That was always a risk, though. I think that was a known, wasn't it, coming into the game week? Yeah.
What frustrated me is that I just all of the because I watched it so tightly to whether I was going to do that Rooney transfer, and it was really annoying because everything was suggesting he was going to play, he was going to start the game, so that frustrated me. However, from a Chelsea point of view, I think if you've got Chelsea defenders, stick on them.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
If you've got Hazard, I'd want bigger returns.
Well, the games still look good.
Sorry.
The games still look good. Drink your tea. The games still look good for Chelsea, I think. They've got to go to Everton next, which I think is a really interesting and tricky game for them, right?
I agree.
Because a few game weeks ago, you'd back Chelsea, but now we've yet to see Everton in this game. We've got to see how they perform at home to Swansea. I think they're going to win that game tomorrow night. And Chelsea have got to go there and play, probably an in-form Everton. So it's a tricky tie that is. But after that, Brighton at home, Stoke at home. Then it's against Arsenal, which was that one game in that long list of Chelsea game weeks where we thought that could be a tricky one for them. And then Leicester at home, and it gets nice again for a few game weeks. So I'm not, I'm a little bit concerned about the back-to-back Hazard blanks, if you can call an assist this game week a blank, because it's not really a blank, but it wasn't the explosion that we're used to seeing. Yeah, but one thing I think that is clear is that Hazard is a better FPL asset when Morata plays.
Agree.
And again, they use that front three in the same way that Liverpool do, and the same way that a lot of other teams do, where whoever's in the centre there, like the Firmino role, if you like, does a lot of the running around, creates the space. That's beneficial to the guys wide of him. Now, if that's Morata, you're happy because that's beneficial to Hazard. If it's Hazard, you're not so happy as a Hazard owner because it's beneficial to Pedro and Willian and Fabregas and all the people around him.
No, I totally agree with you. I think if I had Hazard, I'd be sticking with him. I wouldn't be getting off that bandwagon just yet.
There'll be people itching to do Hazard to KDB though.
Absolutely, and
people will want to do that.
And I can see why, because KDB's had a good couple of game weeks.
And City have got home to Bournemouth next, and Bournemouth are bang out of form.
Well, that's why everyone's waiting on Silva news, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you've got a Chelsea defender, I'll be staying on that as well.
Okay.
Let's move on then. West Ham. Now, I am...
Good result, wasn't it? Great result.
I'm
Talk to me about Manuel Lanzini. Where have you pulled that out from a few weeks back? Because that is looking a great shout.
The thing is, you've only got to look at the underlying data for him. He was the player at West Ham about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Everything was going through him. He was the one with the drive. You only just to look at the statistics.
His ICT was looking good, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you just knew that if they could get themselves settled and going, he will be the driving force behind it. And that is what's happened. So you've got players now like Noble and Arnautovic and
Arnautovic actually looked pretty good. It feels like Moyes has kind of put him in this more forward role and said, don't worry about defending, but giving him a bit more of a free role to go and do something. That Stoke game was perfect for him, by the way, because the Stoke fans don't like him because he was a bit of a funny character, wasn't he, at Stoke? And, did he score? He did score, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think when he scored, I remember seeing something on Twitter about, him kissing the badge and doing all of this, and I just thought, I don't like him as a guy, right? I think he's an awful character. But it's a perfect sort of game because he turned up, go to Stoke, I want to prove everybody wrong. And I'll tell you what, I've seen the stats. That's probably the biggest shift he's put in all season. That just shows you what sort of guy he is. He's a proper big-time Charlie and he gets motivated by the wrong things, in my opinion. But look, he done well. West Ham, very good result. And Lanzini, 3 assists.
I really, really fancy Lanzini. And I think in terms of that double game week that they've got, I know that they've got to play us as part of that double game week, but we are by no means solid at the back without Toby. So I would still fancy West Ham to come to us and get something, not necessarily to get points, but I'd fancy them to get a goal out of us.
And West Ham's next game, Newcastle at home.
I really fancy Lanzini. My worry is getting him in now because I've obviously got Kane and I'm not getting him out. I don't want 2 blanking in a game week. That's a bit of a risk.
I actually, West Ham at home to Newcastle next game week. I'm looking around and, outside of Man City, and we'll talk about this next vlog in terms of captain picks, Man City at home to Bournemouth, I think your captain's coming from that team. But outside of that, it's Liverpool, Arsenal, so you maybe not want to captain anybody there. Chelsea, Everton, so maybe not there. Who's Harry Kane playing? Away at Burnley, so do you want to captain Kane there? Could you be looking at a West Ham captain against Newcastle? Could you be looking at a Lanzini captain? Is that outrageous?
It is quite outrageous.
It's quite outrageous, yeah. Man City are home to Bournemouth, Lee. Shut up.
Have you been drinking again?
No, yes. 'Tis the season to make ridiculous FPL predictions and nonsense. Right, so West Ham... looking good.
Great. Yeah.
I think we'll be putting some of those players on the radar in a few days.
Definitely, we'll see that. And the most boring game of the game week, 0-0, Brighton and Burnley. I don't think there's much to say other than, obviously, Burnley defenders again. Nice to have Ben Mee back, ticking me over my 6 points. Thank you very much.
Could have been different, though, because they did miss a penalty, Brighton, and Glenn Murray just blazed it over the bar. I dread to think what would have happened in the FPL community had Pope saved that penalty. Because he already got, I don't know if he got any bonus points, I don't think he did.
No, he didn't. They all went to Brighton players, actually.
But Pope is just like an absolute FPL machine. I mean, he would have got 6 or 7 points this game. If he'd have saved a penalty, he's on 12 or 13. A lot of Pope owners out there, I'm sure a lot of you guys have got Pope. had he saved that penalty, it'd have gone crazy. But as it was, just the clean sheet. Say just the clean sheet.
Well, you've reminded me now of the thing I meant to say, which was Elliot played for Newcastle. I meant to say about that one.
Oh, that's important. Yeah, it's important.
Sorry, you've only, because we've started talking about Pope, it's just reminded me. So just very quickly, obviously, Elliot played for Newcastle again this game week. So that actually changes.
So you were thinking of a route out of Elliot, weren't you?
Yes. So because he's not played for a couple of games, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I don't trust Foster. I need a route. I need another keeper that's going to play every week, so that I've got to swap him about.
Yeah, sure.
So my plan was Pickford eventually when I could free up some money, I think, potentially. But now Elliot's playing again, I'm now starting to think, well, okay, Newcastle are a bit rubbish, but he does make saves and he's playing,
right? Yeah.
So I'll probably stick.
Okay.
We'll see
Newcastle fixtures any good going forward?
No, they're not. Well, Newcastle are rubbish.
Doesn't
Doesn't
matter
who they're playing, they're not going to win. So, sorry, Newcastle fans.
Nice.
You need to sort yourselves out.
Nice.
That's
right.
it.
Is that all the games covered?
We've covered them all. Look,
Flipping
35 minutes. Wowzers.
Right. So that's good. So we're going to do another video,
Tuesday night.
Losing all track of time. It's blurring into one big day.
We'll come back on Tuesday night with a preview of game week 19. Obviously, we'll only be halfway through the cup fixtures.
Who was your jammy pick, by the way, last video?
Oh, it's Lennon, and he's not played yet.
Oh, that was sneaky of you. I see what you've done there. That was sneaky. Okay.
I didn't talk purpose. So we'll talk about my jammy pick on Tuesday when we come back. We'll preview game week 19.
A quick word about Team Rondon versus Team Neon. This is not really going in our... Rondon actually didn't look...
Rondon looked quite decent today, I thought.
Ooh, it's all relative. I mean...
Well, he's playing Man United. I think against Man United, he looked quite decent today.
It was okay, I would say, but he never really threatened. But I think Neon...
Looked worse than Rondon today, so we've won that one. So it's 2-1.
Brilliant. I don't know if we can put that down as a victory. Let's see what the boys from Who Got the Assist say on their next podcast. I don't think we can claim victory. That's
I'm
a
claiming
draw
victory.
at best, I think.
Well, Rondon's gone on the radar on Tuesday night, so just beware.
Wow. Right, on that absolute bombshell, we will see you in a couple of days. Thanks for tuning in. As usual, continue to follow us at FPL Family on Twitter, at FPL Family on Instagram. Leave all your comments below. Remember that subscribe button. Let us know who your jammy picks and transfers and captains are for the next game week, and indeed how you got on in this game week, which was game week 18. So until we see you in a few days' time, good luck, and we shall see you soon. Good night from me.
Good night from me.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.